David watched his manager throw his belongings into a cardboard box, while his co-workers stood around laughing at his humiliation. What none of them knew was that the man being escorted out of the building actually owned the entire company through a silent investment firm. David had purchased the struggling tech company 2 years ago through his private equity fund when it was on the verge of bankruptcy. He injected $15 million to save it from closure and protect the jobs of 200 employees who would have lost everything. Instead of announcing himself as the new owner, David decided to work on the ground floor as a regular software developer to understand the company from the inside. He wanted to see how the business actually operated and identify the real problems that were killing productivity and morale. David took a modest salary of $50,000 a year and rented a small apartment near the office. His colleagues had no idea that he owned a portfolio of 12 companies worth over $300 million. He drove an old sedan and brought lunch from home while quietly observing everything happening around him. The problems became clear within the first few months of working there. The management team led by director James Sullivan had created a toxic culture of favoritism and bullying that made good employees quit regularly. James promoted his friends regardless of their performance and treated other workers like they were disposable and worthless. He would mock employees in meetings, take credit for their ideas, and fire anyone who dared to question his decisions. David witnessed James humiliate a talented young developer named Maria for asking a legitimate question about a fraud project timeline. He saw James give a major promotion to his golfing buddy, who spent most days browsing social media instead of working. The situation reached its breaking point 3 weeks ago when David suggested a better approach to a software problem during a team meeting. James had laughed in his face and told him to stay in his lane because junior developers should keep their mouths shut. David remained calm and professional, but he started documenting everything he witnessed with careful notes and timestamps. He recorded how James approved unnecessary expenses for himself while denying basic equipment upgrades that developers desperately needed. He noted how James would leave work at 2 in the afternoon while forcing his team to stay until 9 at night, finishing his responsibilities. This morning, David had politely pointed out an error in James' budget report that would have cost the company $200,000. Instead of thanking him, James exploded with rage in front of the entire office. He called David incompetent and accused him of trying to undermine his authority and make him look bad. James announced that David was fired effective immediately for insubordination and having a bad attitude toward management. He ordered security to escort David out of the building while other managers cheered and made jokes about him finally being gone. David picked up his box of personal items and walked calmly toward the exit while his co-workers whispered and laughed behind his back. James stood by the door with his arms crossed, telling David that he would make sure he never worked in tech again. He said David should have learned to respect his superiors instead of acting like he knew everything about running a company. David stopped at the door and pulled out his phone to make a single call to his attorney. He asked his lawyer to schedule an emergency board meeting for that afternoon and to bring all the documentation they had prepared. His voice was steady and professional. He mentioned reviewing the management restructuring plans they had discussed last month. The color drained from James' face as he slowly began to realize something was terribly wrong with this situation. David then informed James that he would see him in the conference room 3 o'clock sharp for a very important meeting. He walked out of the building and spent the next few hours reviewing files with his legal team and the board of directors. At 3 o'clock, David walked back into the building wearing a tailored suit and carrying a leather briefcase. James and the other managers sat in the conference room, being confused about why they had been summoned so urgently. David entered with his attorney and 4 board members, who introduced him as the actual owner of the entire company. The room fell completely silent as David presented documentation proving he had purchased the company 2 years ago through his investment firm. He explained that he had been working undercover as a regular employee to identify the core problems destroying the company from within. He showed the board his detailed reports about James' mismanagement, fraudulent expense claims, and creation of a hostile work environment. David revealed that employee turnover had cost the company over $3 million during James' tenure as director. He presented evidence of James approving contracts for his friends' companies at inflated prices while rejecting better qualified vendors. The board reviewed everything David had compiled and voted unanimously to terminate James' employment, along with 2 other managers who enabled his behavior. David offered James a choice to resign quietly with a basic severance package or face a detailed investigation into his expense reports. James chose to resign immediately, his face red with embarrassment as security escorted him out with his belongings in the same cardboard box. David promoted Maria to director and gave significant raises to 15 employees who had been underpaid despite their excellent performance. He implemented new policies to prevent favoritism and created an anonymous reporting system for workplace issues. Within 6 months, employee satisfaction scores increased by 40% and productivity reached levels the company had not seen in 5 years. The company landed to major contracts worth $18 million because the improved team culture led to better innovation and results. David eventually revealed his identity to all employees and explained why he had worked among them in disguise for so long. Most workers appreciated his approach and felt grateful that someone had finally addressed the toxic management that had made their lives miserable. David learned that real leadership means understanding your business from every level, not just sitting in an executive office making decisions. His patience and careful observation had saved the company and protected the jobs of hundreds of people who deserved better treatment. The experience taught him that power means nothing if you do not use it to create positive change for people who depend on you. If you enjoyed this story of hidden power and sweet revenge, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories like this. Drop a comment below telling us what you would have done in this situation. Should he have revealed his identity sooner, or was his timing perfect? Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss our next story.